Nicole, I'm sure you're wondering why I brought you here to this podcast recording.
Is it not for a podcast recording?
It is for a podcast recording, but it's for a very, very special one.
Okay.
Because we found it. In the words of Barack Obama, we got him.
Really?
And it's more important than the we got him that he was referring to.
To Osama bin Laden?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even remember who the was. Because forevermore, we got him for me will mean we found a particular movie that I've been looking for almost 3 years.
Okay.
And that movie is called Fuelless, a parody of the 1995 film Clueless.
One of the all-time great movies.
That's right. And also Clueless is pretty good, too. Fuelless was produced by the American Petroleum Institute in September of 1996, and it was put out mostly in schools. It's a 16-minute dog shit parody.
I will say, I hate to spoil the illusion for our audience, but I did watch this as homework, and for the whole first half of the video, I was like, who is this for? But then once we got to the parts where it was like you're on an oil field and the teacher's showing you around, I was like, oh, this is like something that the teacher puts on when they have a hangover and they just wheel in the TV and show it to you.
Yeah, once the narrative settles a little bit, it becomes much more clear what the fuck is going on.
Yes.
Because for a while, it's really touch and go there. We'll talk about it. I do want to say this film, I could not find it on the internet. Mm-hmm. My whole job is to find shit on the internet, and I couldn't find a copy of this video.
Where did you find it?
I first found out about it because I was on some website and it had referenced Fuelless, a Clueless parody where the woman loses all of her things and it like learns the value of petroleum. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch that. That sounds insane. And it was just nowhere to be found. I found a post on r/Lost Media that was like, I remember watching this as a kid in high school. I'm trying to look for it. I can't find it anywhere. And then there was just like a bunch of posts that are like, I can't find it anywhere either. There is this link to a catalog that the American Petroleum Institute puts out that says, if you call this number, you can get 5 copies of Fuelless for free.
Whoa.
But the number is no longer working.
Oh, damn it.
There is a way to watch it. But the way to watch it is you go to the Illinois Oilfield Museum in Illinois, and you can physically watch it there, and you can't take it with you. And according to this article I read, it's not always open. So sometimes you have to like make an appointment, and a guy will drive you to the museum, and you can watch it there. They'll open up the museum for you. You can watch it, but you can't take a copy with you.
That's crazy. In the year of our Lord, 2025, who is going to the museum and being like, I want to watch a Clueless parody?
Almost me. And then out of the blue, I got an email from somebody I was emailing with 2 years ago to try to find a copy of this Fuelless. And they were like, oh, I don't have a copy. I think I used to have a copy. It's gone. I don't know where to find it. I was looking at the interlibrary loan system trying to get a VHS copy of it. And then out of nowhere, he emailed me and it was like, I was going through boxes. I fucking found it.
Oh my God.
I got it.
Thank you to whoever this was for remembering to follow up.
And so we got it. We got the copy. And Nicole, we were both able to watch Fuelless, the 1996 API-produced Clueless parody. And in a word, breathtaking. In 2 words, breathtakingly stupid, I think I would say.
So Clueless came out in 1995. Clueless is one of my all-time favorite movies. I know a lot about it. I've seen it a million times. So I felt very prepared for going into this to be able to analyze it. And it is only in the loosest sense connected to Clueless, the movie.
Yeah. If you're thinking about this, like what could Fuelless be about if it was produced by an oil lobby group?
It sounds kind of like Clueless.
Right. And it's where like maybe all the fuel disappears. And you're exactly right. All of this woman's petroleum-based products disappear.
Which is like the 10th time on this podcast that we've analyzed a piece of media where the trope is, what if everything with oil in it just disappeared one day?
But what if it left us? Yeah. Yeah, and we've already covered this narrative, like you owe your life to oil and gas. That was literally season 1, episode 1. But the fact that we actually found this piece of lost media and then watched it and it was insane, I just knew we had to cover it for an episode.
It is a rich text. You can really sink your teeth into it.
That's right.
I'm excited.
Don't sink your teeth too far in because you might have motor oil in it.
No spoilers.
Sorry, that's a spoiler alert.
Producer Ben made a good point earlier that in this iteration of it, it's not motivated by anything.
Yeah.
Like in all of the other ones, it's like, ugh, I hate oil. I wish we could just get rid of oil. And then it's like the monkey's paw curls,
right.
and then you get a world without oil. This is just like she just wakes up one morning and all her shit's gone.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna play the whole thing. The funniest parts of this are, in my opinion, the visual aspects of it.
Yeah, so we'll do our best to describe those.
Yeah, Nicole and I are working writers effectively. I think we're gonna try to do our best to evoke what it's showing us. We're gonna also play some clips that we liked, but I do want to play just a little clip to sort of set the tone of what this is about. I'm just going to play the from second one, and we're just going to see what we get.
Great.
You're absolutely not going to believe this, but almost everything I have that's really cool comes from oil.
So this is a blonde girl doing a voiceover, and that is also how Clueless starts, with a blonde girl doing a voiceover about her own life. They don't try to match the music.
Yeah.
They don't try to match the plot points or I mean, she is ostensibly a rich girl, but this was not done with the same budget as Clueless, so she doesn't look quite as rich.
Yeah. Which is not her fault.
That's not her fault. As far as an educational video that is a parody of an actual good movie goes, the actress who plays Cher's counterpart in this, the blonde girl, doesn't do a terrible job.
Yeah.
With the slop she's given.
And just to dovetail on the slop she's given, the very first shot, this girl had to get completely naked, as far as I know, and step out of a shower. And it's shot like sort of top of the collarbone up. But like the opening shot of this shitty video is a naked teenager.
I think she's in a towel.
She gets into a towel. We can watch it.
Does she? Let's go back. I got to see. Oh, yeah. Wow. It is implied that she's naked at this point.
Yeah. And it has the sort of ultra low budgetness of a pornographic movie. And so like I honestly clicked, like when I got this file, I clicked open. I immediately paused and I was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Funny.
Yeah. So we're going to just keep listening to the dialogue here.
Okay, I didn't believe it either until something really weird happened.
So now we're into like horror movie territory,
yeah,
which is like has nothing to do with Clueless.
Not what Clueless is
There
about.
is a very famous movie called Scream that came out at about the same time. It may have been, I think Scream was 96, so maybe they made this before Scream, but I don't know.
And also we get like kind of the copyright-free psycho noises.
And we're seeing her go through her nice house and like opening all the drawers, and there's nothing in the drawers, and she's opening her makeup, and all of her tubes of makeup are empty. But the tubes still exist, but whatever.
The tube exists. Also, she's like trying to plug in her hairdryer, but the hairdryer exists, but it won't plug in.
Yeah.
So it's like saying that her electricity, which is largely not oil-based.
I guess at this time it would have been...
96 is in Texas going to be coal and like natural gas, but like the plastic housing on the hairdryer ought to have disappeared.
Have you seen the movie Yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so the movie Yesterday is about where a guy wakes up one day and nobody can remember the Beatles, and so he just like writes all the Beatles songs and then he becomes famous. And there is an interesting moment where, so this is a world where the Beatles never existed, and then he references the band Oasis, who I also love. I'm seeing them in September, can't wait. And somebody's like, who's Oasis? And you're like, oh, that makes sense because like Oasis is so heavily influenced by the Beatles. Mm-hmm. Like their whole deal was inspired by the Beatles. Obviously, if the Beatles didn't exist, then Oasis wouldn't exist. But then you also find out like Coca-Cola doesn't exist.
Oh, really?
And like I think like a couple other, like this isn't it, but it's like also Shaq doesn't exist in this universe, and it's like, okay, so you just picked random things to not exist. It's not right. You just decided that some things exist and some things don't.
Yeah, there's no underlying intelligence behind the picks. It's just random. Yeah, and I just want to say about that movie, incredible premise, dog shit execution. And then at the very end, they set it up for a sequel when he's like, I feel like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I feel magical like Harry Potter. And the girl who finally falls in love with him is like, who's Harry Potter? And he's like, it's in the way that you use it. He's like,
I will say, given the way that the world has moved, I wish we lived in a world where Harry Potter never existed.
wow. I wish we lived in a world where Harry Potter existed but was written by a woman who wasn't transphobic.
Great.
So how dare you, Nicole? All right, so that's just a tone set for the movie. It's just as bad as that. And Nicole and we're going to rip through a beat-by-beat breakdown of it.
I
so
will
that
try
you don't have
to analyze
watch
the places where it seems like they are maybe trying to reference Clueless,
Sure.
but it is very loose.
Yeah, and in the same way that there's no real rhyme or reason in the plot of Yesterday to who disappears, you don't try too hard because there's no real motivation here besides the lady just saw Clueless pretty recently. Okay, so we open up on her getting out of the shower. Gross. I mean, I'm sure high school boys are like, wow, this is going to be great. But all of her stuff's gone, her lipstick, electricity, I guess, clothes, and she screams, and we get a narrator. And it's the only time there's a narrator who's not her.
A narrator who's not her.
Right. She already was the narrator. And then there's another narrator who leaves immediately.
I was trying to figure out if this was a reference to another teen movie, and I couldn't think of one that would have been around at that time.
It sort of feels like those old 1960s and 70s horror, big horror
yes.
My God, they woke up and discovered they were all bugs.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. And they do this thing throughout. I don't know if you remember, but in the 90s, this would be swingers era, there was this kind of throwback vibe to the 50s. These movies all came out later, but there was That Thing You Do and Pleasantville, Third Rock from the Sun. Harry had a very 50s aesthetic, and the graphics were very aesthetic, and they keep doing that throughout this. That is not a part of Clueless in any way.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
I think they were just what do kids think is cool? They like Clueless and they like swing dancing and they like scary movies. So let's do it.
Cram them all in and then sort of botch the whole thing. All right, so she screams. We get this Fuelless title card, and then we cut straight to the school. Okay, she's walking down a hallway wearing a literal potato sack. She sort of looks like a monk. She's got a string wrapped around her waist as a belt. And her best friend is walking beside her.
This is insane.
It is wild. Holding an issue of 17 magazine, but not holding it normal. Holding it like it's her sign at a march.
Yes.
Holding it in front of her so there could be no confusion.
If to say, I'm 17.
Exactly.
I will say, this might just be the styling of the early 90s. She looks considerably older than 17.
Yeah.
I fully thought for a sec, I was like, is she a teacher?
Yeah.
In the movie Clueless, there's Cher, who is our protagonist, and then there's her best friend Dion. Mm-hmm. And this is clearly supposed to be Dion, but she barely has any lines or presence in the movie. So it's almost like, why did you have this then?
Why put her in the movie?
Yeah.
I guess it's to match up to the Clueless
They didn't
vibe.
really try very hard in any other way, but fine.
They tried really hard in this one scene, and that's it.
Okay.
And Nicole, you wouldn't expect me to zoom in on the picture of the 17 magazine and
Sure,
then
I would.
track down which issue of 17 magazine that was and then look through it to try to find any kind of references to Clueless, would you?
I sure would.
Well, you're sure right. This is the December 1995 issue of 17 magazine, and there is a reference to Clueless in that 17 magazine on page 25.
Okay.
But it's just a picture of Alicia Silverstone in her yellow plaid outfit.
And that's it.
It's not on the cover. I think in the script, it has the Dion character holding 17 magazine, and then on the day, they're like, it's not reading. You're holding it on your side. It's not reading. Hold it out right in front of you. And I was like, well, there's no fucking way this was an intentional pull, but there is a Clueless reference in that exact...
Crazy.
Which is a crazy Easter egg that you would never get unless you tracked it down.
Unless you're insane like you.
Or maybe it's not a real Easter egg. I think this is a classic Yesterday situation.
Clueless was so big that it may have just been that it was referenced in many issues of 17 magazine.
I think so. So anyway, I did that.
Now, Rollie, you're something of an Easter bunny.
That's right.
In that you love an Easter egg.
I'm on the supply side of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, I'll give you a very quick experience that I recently had on Easter. I was back in Colorado for Easter randomly, not because I cherish that holiday in some way. I was with my parents and we went over to my aunt's house and my two nieces were there. And they're like, Rollie, can you hide the eggs for an Easter egg hunt? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I got the basket and I went outside and some switch in my brain flipped. And I got so fucking into hiding these Easter eggs. I could just, it's like an escape room plus Sleep No More plus like a treasure hunt. I was like digging out bits of grass and putting the eggs in the grass. I got some.
How old are your nieces?
7 and 11.
Okay, so they are old enough that they can do harder Easter egg hunts. Yeah.
And I got some duct tape and I was taping them inside of exhaust fans from the outside.
Did they find all of them, or is there one in the exhaust fan that's going to stink up your aunt's house?
They're not real eggs. They're plastic eggs.
We always used real eggs. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we don't have real egg money, Nicole. Sorry, we're not all zillionaires, Nicole.
Okay. Well, you know what, Rollie?
What?
Friggin' when all the oil disappears, your Easter eggs are going to disappear.
Fuck. Also, I pepper Climate Town episodes with Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. And there is currently one thread that has yet to be discovered that requires a pretty intricate, like it requires you to call a certain thing. It's a whole thing. And ask for whatever. People will find it or they won't.
So as an aficionado, how do you feel about this particular Easter egg, if it can so be called?
I think it cannot so be called. I think this was a complete accident. I don't want to give him that.
I can't emphasize how bizarrely she's carrying the magazine.
It is crazy.
It is like she's wearing it like a sandwich board.
It's like there's going to be like acid sprayed around and she's going to use it to prevent her from getting burned. Yeah.
If you wanted to show the front of 17 magazine, just have her reading it as she's walking.
Anything.
Also, you don't need to show the magazine. Whatever. We are less than 2 minutes into this video.
Yeah, that's true. We're less than 2 minutes into this video, and after Googling 17 magazine a lot, I'm on quite a lot of watch lists, no doubt. So our lead character is wearing a potato sack, holding a plastic binder, which kind of is not...
Maybe she's borrowing it. Maybe just her oil products disappeared.
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Because she gets to class. We made her teacher Mrs. Watkins. And we get this weird cutaway where it's like her name is Crystal and her mother named her Crystal because she's a big fan of Dynasty and finger bowls. It's kind of a Clueless-y sort of cutaway, right?
So I think that is referencing two specific things from Clueless. One is that Cher's mother is dead. She died when Cher was a baby from a routine liposuction. And if you look at a picture of Cher's mom on the wall, she looks a little bit like that lady.
Okay.
And there is a joke in Clueless where Dion gets into the car with Cher and the voiceover is like, that's my best friend, Dion. We are best friends because we both know what it's like for everybody to be jealous of us. Also, we're both named after singers who make a lot of money doing infomercials now.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a reference to those two things.
Wow. I gotta say, the first 4 minutes of this movie have Clueless references, and that's it. So we're in class. We meet her teacher, Mrs. Watkins, who is going to be sort of her guide, her Obi-Wan Kenobi through this section of it. And then we go into Miss Watkins's magical book.
Yes.
And they're transported to an oil field where Miss Watkins informs her everything good in this world is made from oil products.
Just real quick before that, one of the comments they make is like, but what happened to my clothes? Those aren't made from oil. And she's like, well, actually they are, Blythe, or whatever her name is. Crystal. Oh, yeah. Right, because of the crystal bowls.
Right.
Actually, they are crystal.
Blythe was a great riff.
Thank you so much. And then her voiceover is like, I think Miss Watkins needed a mind makeover.
Yeah.
Which is like, one, what is that?
Re-education.
It is loosely a reference to the plot of Clueless, where Cher is making people over, and one of the people she makes over is her teacher, Mrs. Geist. But it's like, that's not a thing. A mind makeover is not a thing.
It's an insane thing to say, and also blocking-wise, they knew they had a voiceover in there, so both the actors are just sort of like looking at each other for a couple of seconds and the voiceover doesn't take the whole time, so there's like an extra beat on either side. Yeah, it's really bad. And then they're in the magical book, and then guess what? No longer are they in the book.
Yeah.
They're now in a music video for an original song called Fuelless.
Yes.
And we are at 2 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah.
We've been to her house, a horror movie. We've been to the hallway, her classroom, the magical book, and now we're in a fucking music video, and it's not even 3 minutes yet.
And the music video comes out of nowhere.
It is insane.
It's not motivated by like, Like, learning about oil is just so boring. I wish there was a way to make it relatable to kids like me. It's just you're in the oil well, and then all of a sudden people are breakdancing.
It is nuts, and it comes out of nowhere. And here's the transition, and then we get the song.
Clueless isn't exactly the word that I had in mind, Crystal. What's abundantly clear is you are completely fuelless.
Life can be so cruel.
Okay, so there are like boys in a neighborhood who are sort of doing like jazz dancing in the street. It's not even break dancing.
It's exactly what it is. It's like basically like ballet and modern jazz dancing.
Yeah.
And they're
in like a cool convertible.
Are they? They're in a convertible. They're all dressed like pretty weird 90s-ish guys doing delicate dancing.
Yeah, it's
in
not
the
like
street.
Again, this is sort of like when breakdancing becomes mainstream.
And this
like,
is not breakdancing.
It's not what it is.
They're like kind of doing ballet,
Yeah.
jazz ballet.
Yeah.
In a suburban street.
To this weird song that's like, you can't fill up your car.
Yeah, and it's sort of like Little Shop of Horrors, like, Fuelless. Do, 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 do. And they're all like, then it cuts to the dancers individually who have not been given the lyrics until 2 seconds before they're on screen.
And they're all sort of mouthing along.
As best as they can.
It's very bizarre.
It's really weird. It also then cuts to a high school cafeteria. So it's like we're on the street and these jazz dancers are dancing. They're not bad dancers, but it's just like they've been set up to fail. And then we go to a high school cafeteria, and then it's like sort of break dancers or like proto break dancers.
Yeah.
From 1996.
Yeah.
So they're like big baggy pants and like no spins.
Without some fuel, of course, there'd be
Okay, this shot is a reference to Clueless, I think. Without no fuel, of course, there'd be no boxer shorts. When we're introduced to Dion's boyfriend, Murray, who is played by Donald Faison.
Oh, yeah, Turk,
yes. That shot sort of mimics the shot of him walking in frame.
It does, but there
without
were
the
boxer
context,
shorts. What do you mean there would be no boxer shorts without petroleum? Like, we had boxer shorts before we
Yeah.
were using petroleum products in our clothes? Whatever. It's a crazy song. The lyrics are all like, don't you want some fuel? Too bad, you fuel fool. You know, it's like, they're so dumb. And we got 2 minutes of that, and then we're out.
It felt a lot longer.
I gotta say, runtime 16 minutes, it feels like a full feature. And that's the end of the preview. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear the whole episode, head on over to our Patreon page where we got the whole thing ad-free. Now, do not worry. We got a bunch of episodes right here for free, but if you want to support the show and hear us cracking wise about other people's mamas, the Patreon page is the place to do it. I hope to see you there, but obviously, you know, you do you. Bye.